What are we gonna do today? Well, this is gonna be quick and dirty. We're gonna void a warranty. Hang on just a second. We're gonna take a look at what we're gonna do to this Medford. So guys, this is a Medford Slim Mini. It came in from a customer, and I have to tell you, I cannot. This is ridiculous. So what the customer has complained is that there's not enough room to access the lock bar, which I absolutely agree. And the fact is that the lock bar tension on this is insanely hard. The only problem I have is there's not a lot of detent. So if I was to mitigate this by lowering the lock bar tension, I don't think that would get us where we want to go. I think what would happen is that it just would not have the action we want, because right now the action on it is nice when you pop it open. It's the access to the lock bar that is the issue, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I have a hard time doing it with one hand myself. So, and we all know I don't have weak hands. The issue we have at hand here is we have to be really careful, because that is the stop pin. And if we remove too much material in this area, which is my plan. So I had a couple things that I thought about doing. I thought I can remove a little bit of material here to widen that gap so you can get more hand down in. I don't think that's really going to help us, because it's still going to be very tight. This is really thin. So here's my plan. Hang on just a second. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Go grab a marker. So since there's not a lot of room in here, and if I try to take material out and scallop this area on the show scale out, like you see on some other knives, as you can see, well, I guess not so much this one. There are some knives where it's scalloped out on both sides. I don't think that's gonna get us where we wanna go, and it's gonna thin this material down to the point where it might be uncomfortable and in hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're gonna remove a little bit of material right there. And so I'm thinking I might be able to do it just with a Scotch-Brite wheel. If I have to use a grinder belt, I'm gonna have to do it cautiously, but we're gonna see. We're gonna go out to my grinder, and we're gonna take it, and we're going to definitely take some of that material out. And we're gonna do it in a way where we don't screw up too much of the other finish, but we are gonna have to take this knife apart. So the first thing we're gonna do is, you and I, us, the ones of us watching it, are gonna take this apart, which automatically voids the warranty. So that means the other things that the customer would like done, like spot treatment, polishing the washers that are in here, and see if that cleans anything up and makes things smoother. We're gonna do that. So give me a second. We're gonna get some tools. We're gonna take this apart. I'm gonna do it real quick, time lapse probably, and you guys will get to see us re-adjourn back out the grinder after I take this knife. All right, so what are we gonna need? Well, we're gonna need a spanner that was provided by the customer, and a T9. So, yeah, right about here is where you guys are going to see it sped up. Okay, so small discoveries. I was told that this knife ran on washers. It runs on bearings, so I'm not going to be able to do anything with the washers. However, it is greased up, not oiled. I was trying to get the hardware out, and I don't want to screw up this hardware, so we're going to leave this hardware in. So the only thing I have to do on this side of the knife is I'm going to soften this ever so slightly on the Scotch-Brite, and we're going to take off some of this material here. So we've disassembled it as far as we need to. We've already voided the warranty. We may as well go adjourn at the grinder and get back into this. This is I don't dislike these Medfords as much as some of the other designs. As you can see, I did take the pocket clip off of my of my mini roach, and I've put it in my magnetic bowl for safekeeping. Much better. I know I called it a pocket clip in the video, but please forgive me. All right, guys, let's go meet up at the grinder out in the yard. First things first, a little bit of safety. I am wearing safety glasses, actual safety glasses. No rings, no watches, no loose fitting clothing. I am probably gonna put my apron on. I don't know, I'm not removing that much material. I'm not actually grinding a knife. You will notice I'm not wearing a respirator, and there's a reason for that. I'm only doing work on titanium. I'm not removing a lot of material. I'm going to do it as gently as possible, probably with the Scotch-Brite. And the thing with titanium is it's not so much the dust you have to worry about, especially I'm in a very well ventilated, I'm outside. Pardon me. The sneezing fit started when I was trying to tell you. So the dust from the titanium is going to be blowing away from me. I've got a fairly decent breeze out here where I'm not going to be breathing directly. And with titanium, you worry about titanium vapor when it gets hot. So there are some safety protocols that I am not using. Like I said, I'm not using a full face respirator, mainly because it's like 83 degrees out here in my yard and I don't want to die. And I'm not removing, call right in the middle of that. I'm not removing massive amounts of material, so I don't have a lot of dust to deal with. I am just worried about particulate matter in my eyes. If you could see right now, I'm literally sweating on my glasses. So I'm gonna get this turned around and we're gonna go actually to the grinder. I'm gonna try Scotch-Brite first. I wanna do this as gently as possible. I don't wanna remove massive amounts of material. Scotch-Brite, I can use it for an indefinite period of time. Belts are expensive. So if I use the belts, I have to charge the customer for the belts plus the labor. So we're gonna try and get it. We'll see how it works. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kiss that little sharp area on the lock bar itself gently to smooth that out so it's a little bit easier to deal with, and then we'll start removing the material. So let's get to it. Like we said, I am going to try to use the Scotch-Brite wheel first. If I don't have to use belts, I won't. I am gonna fill my bucket with a little bit of water so that, just for some heat management. Just to prevent the pieces from getting too hot in hand. So let's go ahead and start this out. But I did not put my apron on. As you can see, this grinder is not real loud. So first thing I'm gonna do, just gonna soften that right there where it's so incredibly sharp. Take those edges off. So I'm gonna tell you right now though, my Scotch-Brite wheel is not a real aggressive wheel. I am definitely gonna have to use the grinder and put a belt on this to do the actual, well, we can try it and see. Let's try it. I don't think it's aggressive enough to do what I want. Yeah, no, that's not gonna do it. That's gonna be more for finishing. I hadn't tried it. I thought I'd give it a shot. Let's go ahead, pause this. I'll go get some belts. My belt on there, and we're gonna use a fairly aggressive belt first. Got everything lined up. I'm just gonna try and scallop this out a little bit in here. I may have to change wheels, but I'm not sure yet. So let's go ahead and start working on this. So I'm just cleaning up what I ground out to give it a better look. I'm not gonna be able to match the anodizing, but I can at least make it nice and clean and kind of polished. So we're about there, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not use much of that belt. I'm not even gonna charge the customer for the belt. But let's go in and take a look at what we did. So, not a lot that I did here. I just softened out. That was really sharp. And then I have lowered that down just a little bit. And you can see I can't match the anodizing because it was a custom heat anodizing, but you're really not going to see it too much. But what that's going to allow is a little bit better access to the lock bar. I cleaned everything up so it's not got any of that nasty grit pattern. Nice rounded out area that I would have expected that marries up with the lock bar. So when you look at it all together, you can see how much more access now you have to that lock bar. So we're going to get this put together. I'm going to do the spa treatment. You guys may or may not see that. It was supposed to be polishing washers and stuff because I was informed that this was a washer run knife. However, it is obviously running on bearings. I'll get that all cleaned up. I'll probably take you along with me for that. I may speed it up and set it to music, but who knows? Man, I am sweating. I will tell you, it is hot out there in the yard today. It's like 86 degrees back there. I looked at the thermometer on the wall. It's like 86 degrees back there right now. And there's not a lot of breeze. So let's go ahead and get this mat out of the way, get the maintenance mat up, clean this thing up, put it back together, and take a look at what we've done. So I don't have my fancy lights and stuff set up because it is just too hot and I'm doing too many other things to get it set up. So this was kind of an impromptu thing. Didn't know if we were gonna do it. But we're gonna clean this knife up and see if that changes anything. There's not a lot I can do for spa treatment on this other than clean it up and change the lubrication. So I don't know what that grease is that was used on this, but I'm gonna say part of the problem with the action on this was just the fact that it's greased on those bearings as opposed to something that's a little thinner. Now, I do know some people like grease. I do not like that feels like a heavy lithium style grease on this. So we may have to resort to in the tub of acetone method to clean these all the way up. You can see there's just stuff gummed in these bearings. Bearings work bearings work a lot better on knives with a less viscous lubricant. So I believe that's what we're gonna have to do because I can just feel, it almost feels like Vaseline on my hands. We're probably gonna soak these in a bowl of acetone. So give me a second and we'll do that and then we'll get this put back together. So I recommend having a thing of acetone around if you're gonna have a lot of knives that you're working on because it has a tendency to work really well to clean up any gunk and stuff that you might not be able to typically get out. And I'm using the wrong tool for the job. Proper tool is a skinnier object. Let's get this popped open. Give me just a second. There we go. We're gonna soak this in acetone just to get the grease and stuff off of it for a little bit and then finish the cleanup. So this should do it really quickly. I'll bring you guys back when that's done and I will tell you, use as little of your acetone as you need. It does evaporate rather quickly, but if there's any left in here, you can just pour it back in. If you're just using it for cleaning and stuff, you can pour it right back in there with the other knives. Now, I got to grab a brush of sorts or a Q-tip and clean these up. So I will be back in a few minutes after these soak. These have been soaking for about 3 minutes-ish, and I noticed that this isn't really doing as much as I had hoped. This looks like white lithium grease that's down here. So about the best way to do it is to set it down in here, get a toothpick, and just work your way around in between each one of the pockets. If you want to change the lubricant, which I am, because like I said, do not really like a heavier grease on bearing run knives. I find them to be smoother when they're used with a less viscous, a little bit thinner material. So we'll break that up a little bit and let them soak again, and then put them back in a moment, and then we'll come back in a few minutes. So but what I'm doing is basically I'm taking the toothpick and I'm getting in between each one of the bearings and breaking up that. You can just see it break up. I don't think you guys can see it as clearly as I can, and I'm not going to try and zoom in. I don't want to touch my phone with acetone and grease and stuff all over my hands. So yeah, but I'm just basically cleaning up the area in between the bearings so that I can get the majority of it out. And you can see there's a lot of it floating around. There we go. There's a lot of it floating around now. So we'll come back just momentarily and see if we can clean it the rest of the way up with the isopropyl alcohol. So it's been about 5 more minutes, and you can see that most of it broke up. That's enough out of there for now. I may put them back in, we'll see, and just hit them up with, one of the other ways you can do it is you can just kind of blow some of that nasty stuff out after the acetone dissolves a little bit. You just kind of blow it out with a power duster, you know, like keyboard cleaner. So let's get this one out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see. This one looks pretty good, but you can see there's still some stuff down in there. Let's go ahead and see if this will... Yeah, you can kind of see it just blowing off. I've got some of it on my fingers now. I believe that was white lithium grease, which is a good lubricant in its own right, but it's not great for what we're doing here. So I will bring you guys back after I've got these bearings completely clean. I was using this, and I was like, why don't I just go get a wooden toothpick? I keep these out here a lot of times for cleaning around small parts, but they're definitely more expensive than these. So. All right, we'll be right back in a minute. It's been a little bit, as you can see. I took those out and I did not get my acetone dumped back in, and it all evaporated. But you can see how much stuff came out. Let me zoom in. That all came out of those bearings because that's the only thing that was in it. So that was a lot of gunk that could have a lot to do with the action on this. So we're gonna just do a final cleanup on this. A little bit of rubbing alcohol just to get any residual off that may have came over and dried out with the acetone. Get this nice and saturated, and just roll your bearings around on it. It cleans the faces of the bearings really well. So those are a lot cleaner. We're gonna go ahead. I might time lapse this. I'm gonna get this knife put back together, and we're gonna see if there have been any changes per se. Okay, guys, one of the dangers about taking apart knives, this walked away for a little bit. I was getting ready to start the camera, I dropped this scale. Now, I had already put the washer in because I was getting ready to do the reassembly. And this, when I dropped the scale on the counter, I heard the washer come flying out. And so that washer goes here. That knife would not go back together properly without said washer. I think that came out pretty good. I'm digging it. It's nice and smooth. I think it's gonna get plenty of access. We'll see what the customer says, but let's go ahead and get this thing put back together. I'll probably time lapse it for you because it might be a long video already. It's not gonna take that long to put this knife back together. Let's just go ahead and do the full reassembly. So this knife has a cutout in the blade for the washer. So as you can see, I've left the open faced area of, let me wipe that off. Still some alcohol left, just residual rubbing alcohol I used to wipe off some stuff here. So when you look at how this knife is constructed, there is a cutout, like a low area for the bearings on this. I typically like to put the open side of the bearings into whichever side is pocketed. It kind of prevents a little bit of nastiness from getting inside the bearings. It just makes your cleanup less often, in my opinion. So the next step is, as always, we're going to lubricate the bearings and the pivot, just a little drop on the pivot, and we're going to drop the blade on. And I like to do it with the lock bar because it holds it in place. I like to do it with the lock bar fully up. I like to make sure that I'm all the way in and then I lock it in. This has external stop pins, so it is kind of easy. Next thing we do is we're gonna grab our other set of bearings. Same thing, drop it pocket side down. Just one drop, that's all it takes. A little drop will do you. A little dab will do you. There was a commercial about that back in the day. And then, of course, since there's another washer, you find the side that's already got a track cut in it, and you stick your washer back in like that. And then we're just gonna stick this knife back together. We're just gonna line all the parts up. We're gonna kind of hand tighten everything. We're gonna put that in there like that. Let me grab that spanner. We're just gonna kind of fish this to go in. Oh, I did it again. I have forgotten to put KPL. We got to take that back apart. I've forgotten to put KPL on the detent ball, and this one is why it's not a lot of working room in there to get back to the detent ball to do it again. So let's put our washer back on there. And I like to store my KPL heavy upside down because it keeps it in the tube. We'll put just a tiny minuscule drop of KPL heavy on the small. That has a very small detent ball, I do have to say. Very small detent ball. So then we'll put our scales back on, put our pivot screw back in. Now I am filming this solely because the video that was supposed to go up on Thursday did not load. There was technical issues with that video, and so to replace that, I knew I had to do this, so I just decided to do a video about modifying this and voiding the Medford warranty, because we all know what kind of horse crap that is. So I decided that we would just do this as content since I had to do it anyway. And I had to scrap the video that was up for yesterday because it would not load to YouTube. So I scrapped it. I don't want to refilm it. I'm just not going to do that video. We're just going to do this instead. We're going to put this knife back together. We're going to see how much easier it is to access that lock bar. Oh my goodness. So much easier to access that lock bar now. Yes, before you could almost not do it one-handed. So I do have to take this knife back apart to do the, after I do the sharpening, I want to do a spot treatment on it. I just want to do cleanup and see how it feels. The action on it definitely feels a little smoother to me. Wow. Way better. That's actually even more comfortable, I believe, because the fat part of your finger rolling over it. So there you go. All we did was we kind of softened that, opened that up, and voided the warranty by taking it apart and changing Medford's design in a fashion that makes it a little bit more usable for the customer. Guys, let's turn this around and do some final thoughts. Being a shop style video, we're going to go with the theme, and we're just going to turn this around and do it like this. We're not going to go with the green screen. I'm hot, I'm sweaty. I want to get some water into me because it did not look like I was out there very long, but it is brutally hot, and it took a lot longer to set up and do everything than I did a lot of stuff that you guys did not see get filmed. So guys, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. But please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you've got notifications turned on your device. You will not get notified of everything I do. If you want to support the channel, there's a ton of different ways. If you want to do it financially, there are a bunch of affiliate links down below. Anything you purchase supports the channel. There is super thanks. I forget about to mention it. It's something that you can do if you like a video. It's just like doing a super chat and a live feed, but you can do it here. I have memberships, affiliate links. I have a merchandise store. You've heard me talk about it a bunch of times. If you want to join the membership, just pick a tier that gets you what you want. There's a lot of different benefits for everyone, but I do giveaways for premium and baseline tier members. I also do exclusive content for pretty much everyone, and everyone has access to my golden server. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video. I gotta get that fan turned back on. Love ya.